Tribe.
What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome to the Disconnect, where reconnection is the dialect. I be knowing, and this is my co-host.
Hey, Jay know the Sun King, you know what it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we finna do something magnificent, something
Absolutely.
wonderful. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
Hey,
absolutely.
The community need this.
Absolutely. We have a wonderful guest tonight.
Yeah, but before we start off with that, we want to make sure, hey, that we send a shout out to our sponsor.
Yes.
Voila Vodka.
Voila.
You know, so if you're drinking, make sure you're drinking responsibly.
Absolutely.
Make sure you don't want to get
Don't be driving.
Yeah, and all that other stuff. Take care of what you need to take care of.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, with that being said, and with further
I'm
ado,
loving this energy.
Yeah. Know that.
I'm over here geeked out.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
so with no further ado, I'm gonna let you do the intro because you know.
So
hey.
I'm gonna introduce my brother Christopher Jones, running mayor of Beaumont, Texas.
Yes, indeed.
So you want to introduce yourself?
Oh man, yes indeed. Big money Texas,
Big money Texas, staying all the way up.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to be in this space, and I definitely thank you, Queen. Thank you, King, for allowing me to come in, dialogue not only with y'all, but y'all listeners and y'all viewers to put us on something, right?
Absolutely.
As Key said, you know what I'm saying? I'm a resident of Beaumont. I've been there since 1989. I'm 45 years old. I'm a veteran, the only veteran that's running for mayor. Again, in the only community connected candidate that's in this space for mayor as well. And don't get me wrong. I mean, we understand where our elected and previously elected was.
Right.
But where are we going from here?
Right.
And so as a community driven candidate that has not only idea, but buy-in from our community, right?
Right.
And pour in from our community.
Right.
That sets the standard of where we want to go.
Right.
I mean, some individuals we've spoken to since we were kids, and looking for something greater, something different in our communities.
Right.
And those things don't come about.
Right.
And so since 2011, I put my big boy drawers on it, and you know what I'm saying? I took on the giant that we know as the city of Beaumont, or the shadow government behind the city of Beaumont. Right. And, I did something that was unpopular to a lot of people, whether they were black or white.
Right.
By standing up for the little people, for the common folk, in the city of Beaumont.
Right.
And I've been doing it ever since, and I'm not gonna stop.
Okay, so speaking of which, what a lot of people don't know, which is something that, because I've never really been the person that was into politics, right? So even just kind of going into all of that, a lot of people think that the president is the person that's in charge of some of the things that be going on around their communities. A lot of people don't even realize, because a lot of people don't study politics, right? So I was at this big age when I learned that a lot of things that's going on locally in our community has everything to do with our local elections. So a lot of people need to get a little bit more involved,
Yes, absolutely.
with our local election or whatever. If it's some certain things that you want to be changed about the school system, certain things that you want to be changed about the streets, certain things you want to be changed about the road, like the employment system and stuff like that. So this is the type of stuff we got to get tuned into, y'all. So make sure y'all stay tuned or whatever, because we really trying to educate and pull people in, because this local election is very, 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 very detrimental to all of us, right?
Detrimental to Beaumont specifically.
To Beaumont specifically. Yeah. So if you really in tune with it, make sure y'all sharing the live. Make sure we spreading this information, and make sure we want to just educate everyone. Okay? So anyway.
Absolutely.
Getting into it.
Yes, indeed.
Want to do the honors of starting off?
Well, I guess rewind back a little bit, because we got listeners from all over. So for y'all that don't know about Beaumont, Beaumont is pretty much a small town. It's about 117,000, population of 117,000.
Right.
Founded in 1836, and then it became a booming town in 1901 because of the oil boom, stuff like that. So Beaumont is really like an oil town, collectively. I learned about Beaumont going to Lamar University. Right. So about 5 years. I was 5 years in the town, in the city, maybe more 6, and stuff like that. So, and I learned that quickly. Beaumont also favors small business and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's a blend of Louisiana culture, mixed with Texas culture, you
Right.
know. When I went out there, for y'all, it may be something that y'all used to seeing and doing, but when I went out there, like the crawfish balls and the zydeco, though it's done in Houston too, it was done to a whole nother level. It was like a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
And the Zumo sausages and all that thing, everything, Beaumont, you know. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, so it opened my eyes and I, you know, got a chance to kind of just build in the town and stuff like that. So, so that's for y'all listeners that, you know.
Absolutely. Beaumont got a whole lot of history. And a lot of people don't know too. It's in the food court. If you go to the food court inside the Parkdale Mall and you look on the wall, it'll tell you a lot about like the oil, like the history of Beaumont and the oil and stuff or whatever. They got it written like right there in the food court and stuff or whatever. You know, it's all around us.
I mean, I brag, you know what I'm saying? I brag a lot about being from the oldest Black neighborhood that Beaumont has to offer and the oldest neighborhood that Beaumont has to offer.
Okay.
The South End. I mean, the real South End.
Everybody come from the South End.
Not the one that they talk about on the news.
Yeah.
In Beaumont South End, and it be the Pear Orchard or something.
Right.
Not that South End.
Right.
Not the south side of Beaumont.
Right,
That's south side.
You talking about Irvin and all.
Yes, indeed. I'm talking about real South End.
Shout out Mays. Remember Miss May? Miss Mays.
Yes, indeed.
Club.
Shout out the Signature. Club
the Signature.
The Sig. I heard that. I got there. I said the Sig.
God, the Sig.
I heard so many stories about it.
Shout out Mr. Gibb. R.I.P. Mr. Gibb.
Yeah.
Shout out Mr. Gerard, the barbershop. Miss Clara's. I mean, like I'm telling you. Shout out Charlton Pollitt High School.
Charlton Pollitt High School.
You know what I'm saying? The real
Not
South
our parents.
End.
Not our parents graduated from there. Yeah.
Right. And so like, you know, I have the privilege of representing not just, you know, the oldest neighborhood in the city, but I have the privilege of engaging with those neighbors, right, on a consistent basis.
Right.
And able to, as you know, in our neighborhood association, speak up for those that are intimidated by this exact process.
Right.
And, you know, that's why from when we were in school, people would call me Unc.
Right.
Because I would, you know, speak
old
up
soul.
for...
Yeah. Old soul, yeah. Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna like say even, you know, our peers and stuff or whatever, they did. Like everybody looked at you like an elder, even when we was in school.
Right,
you know, so yeah.
And not only that, but you know, I kind of chastised, especially in ROTC.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because we shared that together. ROTC.
Yeah.
What were we in arm drill team together?
Arm drill team.
And then she tried out. She tried out for color guard. She was like, this is nothing, man. I like arm drill team.
Man, y'all used to have us run around the school with them rifles in the air.
Yes,
when I tell you, our arms felt like noodles. Oh my God, it was just like, it was so strenuous.
That was a good day.
That was a good old days. It was a good old days, man.
Man, how old are you to say that, man?
I know.
The good old days.
I know, good old days, man. The good old days. Well, you know, I'm just 30.
Just 30?
Yeah, I'm just 30.
Boy, stop. That's what a big boy say, boy, stop.
Yeah, I'm just 30.
I was about to say, well, then that made me 35.
Yeah.
I did that
you about 35. You know? Yeah, you about 35. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so go, you got it.
Well, so speaking of like Beaumont, so Beaumont's population is what?
117,000, yep.
At that, roughly.
Yes, roughly.
We've lost a lot of people. And not due to COVID. Our population has decreased drastically.
Right.
At one time, it was 118,000 people.
Wow.
But knowing that people do not participate in the census, knowing that people are displaced, especially after Harvey and Imelda, knowing that some people are disconnected from the, I guess, like industries or commerce, jobs, careers. 117,000 is not what we have currently.
Yeah. I
remember maybe 2, maybe even 4 years ago, the registered voters of Beaumont was at least like 77,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's registered voters.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, currently, I think it's 66,400 and something people that are registered voters in the city of Beaumont. So there is no way that we still have 117,000 people in the city of Beaumont.
Wow.
We probably have 117,000 people in Jefferson County.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not in Beaumont
Not in
anymore.
Beaumont. Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
So for the people, can you give us a little bit of insight about your family background, like your marital status and
I'm
any
happily
kids,
single. I'm happily single. I've dated in the past. I was engaged twice. And this is I feel like this is a safe space, right?
Right.
I had a kid that would have been.
Yeah.
But the young lady that I was with at the time had a secret abortion.
Oh, wow.
But we move forward.
Yeah.
And so I've never stopped loving not only myself but wanting to love others. Right. So yeah, I'm happily single. A bachelor.
Yeah.
Got you.
I'm not really looking for anyone right now.
Yeah.
I'm really just trying to make sure that I'm protected.
Right.
Believe it or not, running for public office is a task, not only for you, but your loved ones as well. And so I don't want to put anybody in that type of situation where they have to worry about being scrutinized all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
About some things that they may have done in their past.
Right.
Or maybe even some things that we like doing currently.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because we're adults.
Right.
And our privacy is our privacy.
Right.
Right. And so, I just, afterwards or maybe into it, I don't, I wouldn't mind full-fledged dating, but as a current, no.
Yeah. It's not the main focus.
Right. And then too, like I said, if I could go back a little bit, in 2017 when I ran for public office, I had 2 cars catch on fire.
Oh, wow.
In my driveway.
Wow.
And no shade or anything. This is just facts.
Mm-hmm.
Beaumont Fire Department came by, put my car out and drove off.
Wow. They knock on the door, then action and quit.
Well, I mean, like, I was up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And aware. Our neighbors woke us up. Mind you, this was between the hours of 2 and 4.
Oh.
8 a.m.
Wow.
And so that was like January. Let's say January 7th.
Yeah.
February 7th. Between the hours of 2 and 4.
Oh.
My rental car caught on fire.
Wow.
Fire department pulls up, put the car out, drive off.
So what do you suspect any of these events, what do you think this could?
It could be anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because at that same time, I was also, afterwards, especially like while I was on the campaign trail, mind you, 2017 was an election year for the city of Beaumont, and I also was on the ticket.
Right.
But I mean, like, it kind of paused me because of the concern for my family.
Got you.
Right? My sister, my niece, my mother, my father, you know what I'm saying? If you're that close to me, and whoever it is, or whatever the reason, you put my family in harm. And so, especially between the hours of 2 and 4, people sleep. You know what I'm saying? So
trying to send a message.
Yeah.
So,
but I didn't, like I said, I didn't shy back.
Yeah.
I knew I was being followed because I had received death threats.
Yeah.
This is Beaumont, y'all. This is Beaumont.
Yeah.
I mean, and most of the times I don't even disclose that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But people need to know. We need to know what our candidates that is, advocating and being in a space for us, our civil liberties, these are some of the things that they actually go through, right?
Yeah. And we touched on it on another show. Where we talking about how they try to sabotage people.
Most definitely. Yes, dog eat dog world, man. The capitalism and the big businesses that's supporting, they want to make sure they people
in there.
I know you can't say, but so the political views and opinions on this show do not all reflect Brother Jones,
No. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm speaking for me right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In my
Yeah.
observation. So I'm not gonna go out and say that,
Yeah.
We know that, capitalism, the up downside of capitalism is the mindset of always capitalizing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's by any means necessary for some people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it don't stop. So I would like to ask you, knowing that the typical American image of a candidate is the family man, married, kids, that's the
nuclear family.
The nuclear family and all that. So how do you plan to surmount this image and show people that, for somebody that may be like, well, he ain't got no kids, he don't know how he gonna know. That's gonna give you that type of, that type of feedback, that type of flack.
I appreciate that question because even when I was, engaged in PTA, and that's Parent Teacher Association, and most of the parents, especially some of our classmates, I had the privilege of, mentoring, engaging, tutoring, enlightening their kids, right? And so that's why I'm called Unc. I don't. Of course, I don't have any kids of my own, but the proof is in the product that I've produced, right? Mm-hmm. And the engagement and the enlightenment that I've provided to our next generation, right? And so I'm like some individuals where we're reserved about bringing a little one into this type of society.
Right.
Where we're reserved about having, offspring in an uncertain society. I mean, this is a very uncertain society.
Right.
And, as you grow with your mate, or your helpmeet is what I like to call them, as you grow with her and you evolve, then so some of those things do come about, right?
Right.
But I'm not in that position right now.
Right.
Right.
And I'm not in a rush to be in that position right now.
Right.
Knowing that, I have my responsibilities to me, I think is the opportunity I think is an opportunity that I'm allowed to give to others in our community that's not in space.
Right.
Especially because when we're absent from this space, there are some politicians that will take advantage of your absence and push laws and legislation,
right,
because you're absent from that space.
And then you the face behind it, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I tend to let people know, there are some personal uncertainties around me bringing in little people, young ones into this society, because I may be cool, calm, and collected right here, but anybody's child, let alone my own, I'm not too cool with, some of the things that I'm seeing happen in our youth communities and around our youth. I mean, like I said, even as PTA, I wasn't okay with, seeing a child in need.
Right.
Let me see if I can meet this need.
Right.
Right. Whether you're my child or not.
Right.
Let me see if I could help in the household, because most of the times that's where it's at.
So speaking of that, what motivated you the most to get involved? To like, where does this passion just comes from for you to just have this type of feeling for the people in the community? Like, where's that drive coming from?
Again, like I said, I'm prior service military. I served 4 years in the Army. I did 2 years while we was in high school.
Right.
And then I did 2 years after some college. And I don't know, like afterwards, when I came back home, I saw like desolation. You know what I'm saying? It was like no growth, no real tangible growth, right?
Right.
Jobs were the same and or closing.
Yeah.
Especially historical businesses, right? And then you have politicians or some of the current, at that time, currently elected were just, I mean, sitting in a seat, people crying about sidewalks and different things like that with no resolve, right?
Right.
And you're increasing resources or you're increasing services or fees to services, but you're not emboldening the services that you're offering.
Right.
I mean, and you know,
there's a lot of that going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And then too, on the flip side, I'm looking at the engagement or the lack thereof that was, you know, in and around our youth communities. I remember going to school where, especially Central Senior High School, go Jags, where we had access to college readiness.
Right.
Like, I mean, many people, especially if you tell them, oh, I could have took, you know, drafting and engineering while I was in high school. Most people be like, no, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. That's a college, you know, that's a college course.
Yeah.
No, we had drafting and engineering in our high school.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like the challenges that we are talking about currently aren't present for our next generation, right?
So what changed? What do you think changed it? What from your opinion, what do you think changed?
The lack of engagement, being at the table.
Yeah.
The lack of advocacy, the lack of following your money. I mean, you pay for this. This is your taxes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the lack of the dismissal of being engaged in that space. I mean, like even when people get phone calls from the school sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And it goes straight to voicemail. Don't know what was said about their school, their child, or whatever the case may be. So there's a great disconnect. And so that they, and we can find out whoever they is, take advantage of your disconnect, of your, you know, you're not being there.
They do.
Right.
They do.
So before we go deep dive into the political questions in the realms and stuff like that, we wanted to just take the beginning segment just so people that don't know you can get a feel of you and who you are and stuff like that. So before we go there, the question I like to ask is, what is one thing that you wish people knew about you that they don't know? Or it could be multiple things. It ain't got to be one thing.
Well, one thing that I try to not disclose is that I am a disabled veteran. And I guess like that is a mindset. I don't want anyone to either take pity on me. I don't want anyone to take a disadvantage of my disability. And I don't want nobody to get hurt by me, thinking that they can take a disadvantage of my disability.
Yeah.
And so I hurt from my hair follicle on my head to the skin underneath my foot. 365, some days are worse than others. But yeah, like I said, this is a safe space, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
And I follow y'all on YouTube, so you know what I'm saying? Y'all family. Y'all be in my house and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
But you know, that's something that I would want people to know about me.
Yeah.
Is that regardless to how natural and bubbly and smiley my exterior may be, there's also something, some things that I'm dealing with, you know, pain-wise.
Man, that to me, that shows you a fighter and a warrior.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, man, I appreciate that.
From the time you've come to the building, to the facility, we've been talking like, I would have never guessed that. I would have never known that. You know what I mean? To still keep that energy and be in that space like that. That's
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
And you know, everybody, you know what I'm saying, deals with something. And it's not easy to talk about, at least not for me. It's not always easy to talk about my disability.
Right.
Right. And because like I said, it's something that I hide.
Right.
In the public. You'll be like, man, he got a cool walk, and just don't know that I am in extreme pain.
Yeah.
Oh man, he dressed fly in the mug. I am in extreme pain.
Yeah.
I like that hat he got. I am in extreme pain.
Yeah.
And I shake your hand with a smile.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I believe that that's the standard, not just from the military, but the lineage and legacy that I learned while I was in the South End, and the standard that I learned when I was living in Jennings, because I'm from Jennings, Louisiana.
Okay.
And I moved to Beaumont when I was 9 years old with my mother, my sister, and I. We joke, my sister and I, we joke and say that we didn't move to Beaumont, we just on summer vacation.
Right.
Because that's how it happened. My mom was like, come on, y'all, we going to Houston. We're going to go to Astro World. That should tell you how old I am.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Astro World and we're going to have fun. And it was summertime.
Yeah. And
so we came out here and chilled out here. And then we went to Beaumont and chilled with my mother and her father and his wife. And then next thing I know, bro, we graduated from high school. Yeah. I'm graduating from high school.
History.
Yeah, right. Graduated from high school, went to the military and came back still on summer vacation, though. You know? But I mean, like, Beaumont is home for me. I mean, like, every childhood friend I know is in Beaumont.
Yeah.
Every adult that I grew to know and mentored me and poured into me is from Beaumont. Right. You know what I'm saying? No shade to my Louisiana family, because they've always been there.
Right.
But home is where the heart is. Yeah, that's where I got it. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of which, or whatever, so in the campaign, what would you do to hold yourself and your administration accountable?
Oh man, I like that.
How would you do that?
So I mean, like, I'm an engager. You know what I'm saying? A person that engages consistently, or try to be as consistent as I possibly can be to our public, right? And so one of the things that I do believe that sets me apart from other candidates, especially when it comes to accountability, is, I don't have a record that you could call me out on or anything like that, right? So I've never been on council.
Right.
But I will say that in the past, every time I ran, my entire platform became the agenda of council. And so whether it was, street repair, it probably didn't happen in the steps that I would have liked it to. But the fact that it happened, what I'm saying, it is a victory to me.
Right.
And so even now, as, the neighborhood association president, I move in a space that calls for accountability, not just from us as a neighborhood association, but from our neighbor. Right. Right. Because accountability is like a clock. It goes, it goes for you just as well as it goes for me.
Right.
And so I tried to lead in that same fashion, right? Where whatever is ideal for me or whatever is, ethical for me, then I'll move in that space, and I'm going to be expecting it from you as well.
Exactly.
It's just like most kids in our city call me Unc, and I tell them, hold on, wait. Before you call me Uncle Chris or before you call me Unc, let me lace you up about what that type of relationship with me is.
Right.
I'm going to instill in you structure as an uncle would or as a male figure would, right? I'm going to give you insight on life's lessons and whatever else it is that I could possibly do for you as an uncle figure or a male role model, right? And so, and I hold them accountable, right?
As you should.
Because if you're looking at me for insight and direction, you're holding me accountable. Right. And I can't slip even though you don't say anything that, oh, Uncle Chris, I saw you slip. I can't slip and let you know that I'm falling, right? Because you're watching me.
Right.
And as they watch, especially our kids, as they watch, they learn. I don't care. Yeah, I'm an 80s baby, March 26, 1980.
Right.
And in my household or in our family, it was do as I say.
Not as I do.
Yeah. So
Right.
y'all just as old as me. So y'all told on,
Hey.
y'all told on yourselves too. But, that's what it is. And we were raised that that's the standard, right? And so that's how I would move in my administration.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We are accountable to only the people that are in the city of Beaumont, not the people that pay us.
Right.
Because just like we were talking earlier about backers, political backers outside of the grassroots movement, most people that contribute to your political campaign figures, oh, well, now I bought me a candidate. And technically so.
That's what happens, yeah.
Right,
Exactly.
technically so.
Yeah.
And so the agenda of the people then is moved off of the table completely or to the back burner, right? And now you're dealing for this particular individual that contributed heavily to your campaign or heavily to your, candidacy. And, to hold not only myself accountable to the people that's gonna, hopefully put me in the seat, I refuse to even take that kind of money. I refuse to even ask people for money.
Right.
Because if I believe that the Most High puts me in this position, He gave me the tools,
Mm-hmm.
He gave me the insight, gave me the intellect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And everything else shall be provided.
Right.
Right. And so accountability comes with that.
Yeah.
Like that's a dope question for you to ask, especially for, somebody that's considered to be in our city an underdog.
Right.
When it comes to this race. Mind you, the underdog is out there with the people. The underdog is out there listening to our youth.
Yeah.
The underdog is out there trying to rebuild relationships.
Yeah.
And, those people that have a large contributions to their campaign, they're disconnected.
It's true.
Listen to some of the stories that are being portrayed or conversed over, the airwaves or on television. It's redundant, some of the things I'm hearing come from some of the candidates.
But people got to take them veils off and see things and see people for who they are.
Exactly.
They got to take them veils off, but it's so hard, but they got to take them veils off, people.
It's not hard. You see them people.
Yeah.
God shows you them people. The
Yeah.
Most High shows you them people.
Yeah.
And this is what I tell people also. If you bump your toe on a consistent basis, eventually your resolve is going to either move that out of the way or change the direction in the dark.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's it's the same sentiment.
Yeah. But you know what? What's the definition of insanity?
Doing it over and over again.
And expecting different results.
Yeah.
And people doing it. People are waking up on autopilot and just going.
Well, I don't know. I got a little pushback against that.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the same thing over and over. Right. If you've ever noticed when water drips on one spot for so long, whatever it drips on, it erodes it, right?
Mm-hmm.
To a point to where it could even break a rock, right?
Right.
Just continue. So some things are destined for you to keep tapping on it.
I think what you talking about in this
order
case
that you can
is
break
consistency.
It. Yes.
Consistency, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. And that's what a lot of people in our community are saying about me. Chris, you're consistent.
Yeah.
You ran 2011, 2013, 2015, 2017, 2019, 2025.
Yeah.
You're consistent. Even if you lost in between those elections, you didn't go into hiding like some candidates did, right?
Right.
You were right back at it the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And that whole entire time, you were engaging in our community.
Yeah.
You never
They
left
gave
us.
up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's so easy to get discouraged and give
It is,
up.
especially after,
man.
you know what I'm saying?
When you're fighting for people and it seems like they don't really care or
They
don't
yes.
even care to understand
Right.
what's going on. You fighting for people that'll fight against you, basically.
I was about to say, you fight for people and politicians, that's what we have to understand. We fight for people that won't go into these arenas to fight for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of us, like I said, they just lay down and let it happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got a question. So the mayor oftentimes is looked at as the CEO of the city.
Right.
So for the people, what entrepreneurial experiences do you have, or do you even find it is necessary to have that to run the city?
It's not necessary. And I tell this to, so that we don't discourage our future leaders. Mm-hmm. You're not required to have a business degree. You're not required to have any profession. You're not required to have a business. You're not required to be a philanthropist. And you're not required. Only thing that's required of you to run for office is, especially here in the state of Texas, is that you are not a felon, that you are 18 years old, and in some municipalities that you do not owe the city anything. And that includes even a library fine.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either till today.
Never knew that.
But.
Yeah. And so,
wow.
It's no prerequisites to represent the individuals that you deem or that deem you worthy of representing them, right? And that even goes to, something as minute, like some people would think is minute, as a precinct chair. A precinct chair is a very powerful person. And if you check to see in your voting districts, if you have a representative, most of the times they're either a Republican or a Democrat, or both, can be in the same precincts. But that's your closest connection, not only local, state, and nationally. When there's, party conventions, those are the people that go to these conventions to represent your particular precinct. And they are electable individuals.
Okay.
They are on the ballot.
Right.
And whether they have opposition or not, people come out and they vote for them, right?
Right.
And so, again, that's just another space where we need representation.
Right.
Where we need eyes and ears listening, as well as a mouth that's going to carry the things that you are hearing from the community to that space.
Okay.
Right. And so it's the same with the mayor of your city. Those prerequisites are not required. 18, no felony, and no, you're not owing a bill to the city. That includes a hospital bill or, ambulance. Because most of the times those are municipal.
Yeah.
Water bill, anything that your municipality has considers a service to the city, you cannot owe them a dime.
Right.
And so, but yeah, me personally, I on March 15th made 20 years in business.
Okay.
I'm a consultant.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much. I started out as a clothing store, and Harvey, no, what was it? Rita took us out back in 05.
05, yep.
And so after coming back, revamping my I guess like my business structure, right? I didn't want to go back into retail right away. I knew it was something that I wanted to continue to do, but I saw a drastic loss or a gap, right? When it came to businesses, small businesses bouncing back from the effects of, those
trying to
storms.
be restored.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And we lost a lot of business.
Yeah.
So seeing that gap in that space or that need being missed, right? I kept my business name, Diadem Enterprise.
Okay.
And I just reformatted the structure from retail to consulting.
Yeah.
And I've been, helping neighbors in our community establish business, write business proposals, write business grants.
So you was able to be resilient even through all of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so speaking of resilience, and everything going on in our community, what does leadership look like to you? What does Beaumont look like under your leadership?
I just wanted to ask one question before we go into that question. Before we shift, so I guess the question was reformatting. I guess not asking necessarily is a prerequisite, but do you think it's a necessary skill that a mayor has to have, some type of entrepreneur?
No.
Gotcha.
Again, the best skill that any representative can have is relationship.
Mm.
If they don't have relationship, all they is another candidate, right? And I'm not talking about a relationship with just a particular people or a particular party. I'm talking about relationship across the board.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Looking to represent people that are homeless.
Right.
Looking to represent people that choose to be homeless.
Mm.
There's a difference there.
Yeah.
Looking to represent people that have no idea about this process. Whether they can vote or not.
Right.
That's the felon or the child.
Yeah.
You have to be able to or be willing to have a servant's heart and at least be a leader that's willing to follow.
Right.
That's the only thing, and a person that's consistent.
Yeah.
Be consistent in what it is that you're trying to do in your community.
Yeah.
Right.
I can feel it. I feel it.
Yeah. You don't have to be a business person. You don't have to have a lot of money either.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I promise, bro. I think my campaign maybe $5,000. Maybe. And I'm not looking at $30,000, $40,000, $60,000, $100,000 from contributors. Again, that's going to take my advocacy from you as residents,
right,
and turn it for their special interest or best interest.
Yeah.
Gotcha. My bad, kid. I just wanted to.
Oh no, because definitely we need clarity.
Absolutely, I like that.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
that, bro.
Absolutely.
I like that.
So, what does Beaumont look like under your leadership, Christopher Jones?
Oh man, I'm glad I didn't read these questions. I'm loving these questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Beaumont looks like a unified space or a unified place, a destination space, right?
Yeah.
Something, a place that some people would travel to other than love and family.
Mm.
Because I know you from Beaumont, and I know many of your listeners are from Beaumont. That may have moved away from Beaumont.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
And it's nothing but love and family that keeps you coming back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's no expansion of anything.
Right.
So to speak. So I don't know, it's I see it as a resilient space.
Right.
One that is sufficient.
Right.
Right. And not so tax heavy on its residents. Mind you, like we broke down some of those numbers. Majority of those people also is 34. That's the medium age in Beaumont,
right.
34.
Yeah.
So Beaumont is a rather fairly young populace. And so if you look at the age 34 and the medium income, which is probably like $50,000, $54,000, $55,000 a year, most of those people are leaving because, again, they're taxed heavy.
Right.
And so, again, like I said, I look at a city that's going to boom again.
Yeah.
I have, with, collaboration of many of our neighbors, ideas that we can push forward that increases our revenue so that we can do some of these bright ideas that other candidates and or afford some of these bright ideas that past representatives have put forward, right? And so it's going to take, it's going to take a collective, but I think I'm the best candidate to do that.
Yes, sir.
Again, like I said, I see a destination place, one where we can retain the graduates from a 4-year college that we have, in our doorstep.
Right.
It baffles me. This brother here said, yeah, I went to Lamar about 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Where he at?
Yeah.
Out here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not retaining any of the talent, skill, creativity that Lamar pushes out into the global space.
Right.
This isn't just Beaumont, Houston, competing. We're competing in a global space. So that's something that I would like to see Beaumont get back to, competing on a global stage.
Gotcha.
I see Beaumont having, some of the best parks that we could offer, some of the best community engagement spaces that we could offer, right?
Right.
Setting not just a tone for what can be done in communities, but what could be done across the state of Texas.
Right.
We have to think outside of the box, and I believe that I am one of the best candidates that does that.
Right.
I mean, like, even in my current business and my current community engagement, we think out of the box.
Right.
I tell people all the time in our neighborhood association, don't bring me your problem because I don't want to just deal with your problem. Let's develop the solution, right? I know if you have an issue, the Most High showed you the resolve. He showed you the resolve to the issue that you have.
Yeah.
And sometimes all it takes is 2 people or a few people to birth that thing out, right? And so that's what I see happening, a collaborative of individuals in our community.
Yeah.
Right? Where we rebuild relationship.
Yeah.
Where we do more than just depending on, our police department to police us.
Yeah.
Where we're policing ourselves. Right?
Yeah.
And we have the camaraderie where we can police our police officers. Right. And so again, that all comes with relationship.
So that's your way of involving the community in your decision making, basically.
Absolutely.
Okay. That was going to be one of the questions as well. You already covered that.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the next segment, we want to break down going into, like, as you spoke earlier about the underserved community, the crime rate in Beaumont, and then the unemployment rate. So we want to jump into each one of those segments. So I guess we'll start off first with the underserved community.
Okay.
So I'll start off with an open-end question. How will you address the needs of the underserved population? We'll start there, then kind of drill down.
I think first things first, we must identify those that are underserved. Because just because I say I'm a part of an underserved community doesn't mean that I'm underserved or underprivileged. I will say the most vulnerable underserved community in the city of Beaumont right now is our youth. Because when my current doctor closes their eyes, I'll be looking at individuals like your daughter and your sons to be the next doctor.
Right.
When those doctors and lawyers and attorneys or whoever is in place currently, when they pass, who's next?
Them kids.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And so, for me, it's always been like pouring into my future, putting my hand into my future, like molding my future.
Right.
And that's what our future looked like.
Right.
Putting it, into place, putting it into perspective, making it real, not just for us, but those that are coming behind us, right? And I hope I don't offend anybody with this, but stop gatekeeping from these kids. Again, this is the most vulnerable, underserved community that we have.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out why they killing each other or why they killing themselves.
They don't have the resources.
They don't have the connection.
Connections, yeah.
Those connections that were detrimental to us in our upbringing, growing up around auntie, uncle, and big cousin, those relationships meant something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if y'all have realized, but our families have started to separate more at the seams.
That's so true.
Than even in the past, right? And so, I would prefer that we really focus a lot on our youth, right? And then make our elders or invite our elders to feel welcome, to open their history books to us, to open their tool sheds to us, right? To open what their past looked like, embarrassing or whatever. We need to know, especially now, because we're looking at our elders that are like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed because they saw this before. A lot of things that are happening on the national stage.
Yeah.
They've seen this before. And I hear a lot of elders or seniors, because we got to be careful how we classify those individuals.
Hey.
We have to I've seen them, in a space where they're uncertain about what tomorrow brings, right? And that's okay. But when you're holding on to information, tools, knowledge, wisdom, enlightenment, that not only my age group needs, but those that of our offspring need as well. Then you have this situation that we have in our community.
Okay, so speaking of which, you said something that was very interesting to me. What is the difference between an elder?
Yes, that's what I was getting. When he said that, I was like, hey.
And a senior.
Okay, so I found out, especially this go round that I'm, running for office, I found out that people have categories.
Yeah.
Right? And our elders pour into us and push us forward.
Right.
Seniors observe.
I like that.
Gatekeep.
And if you don't meet their standard or their likeness, then you're ostracized. How many of y'all remember when you were a kid walking down the street, maybe to the park or to the pool or something? I'm from the South End. I used to walk Carroll Street Park.
We did a little walk.
All the time, right? Yeah. And so waving or speaking to an elder that didn't speak back.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, how many of y'all was like, you too old for this?
Yeah.
I take my hello back.
Yeah.
Right.
So, we have to understand that there are elders that will lift us up. You know what I'm saying? Propel us forward. Chastise us when we're wrong.
Yeah.
Reward us when we're right.
Right.
And we have to identify those individuals as such. Everybody cannot wear the title as an elder to us.
Hey, I
but
agree with you.
Everybody is a senior.
Right.
Those individuals are seniors.
Right. Anybody that's older,
Right. I'm not going to call them old folk.
Yeah. Right.
No more. I don't call them old folks.
Yeah.
Back in the day, them old folks is something else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, I know how to identify them now. You know what I'm saying? Is I don't know, call it the military and say it's profiling.
Because it's a difference.
Nah, I wouldn't even say it's, I haven't been in the military myself. I wouldn't even say it's military. That's one of the things that we talk about.
Yeah.
Is that identifying, an elder and a senior. For me, I feel like somebody that's a senior, man, you just older than me.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You just older than me.
Because wisdom don't come with age.
No, it doesn't.
No, so wisdom.
No, it doesn't. You know how many young people I've learned so much from?
Me too. And how many old fools.
Man, I'm ready to push downstairs.
Push them down.
Just push them down the stairs.
So I like to jump back down to the youth, because you said that was the most underserved.
Absolutely.
And you talked about people leaving from Lamar and stuff like that, and not coming back and stuff
Absolutely.
like that. So I guess what incentive or programs would you develop to retain the youth in the city?
Man, so y'all must have been following me, huh? So I mean, like there are a lot of things that go amiss in our city when it comes to youth exposure.
Right.
Our neighborhood, is very rich in history that our youth don't know.
Right. We don't know.
Right. And if we do know, we had to go dig for it, right?
Yeah.
The disconnect that we have with them is, it speaks loud. It speaks volumes. And just like I said earlier, when we've identified an issue, God shows solution. He always shows solution.
That's true.
I don't care if it comes in a dream. I don't care if it comes from someone else.
Yeah.
There's always solution.
Right.
And so some of those solutions look or have been revealed to me as something along the lines of emboldening, education outside of the original four walls of school.
Right.
Right. Exposing our youth population to things that they would not see because of either a financial hindrance, not having access to a parent that has access to come and go freely.
Right.
There's a when it comes to our youth, there's a lot to unpack. I'm not gonna lie.
It is.
Because we have to identify, just like I said, the need that they have to be met, right?
Right.
And so that's one of the ways that we can encourage and entice, our population to grow in Beaumont and to help sustain Beaumont as well, right?
Right.
Because it has to happen in the collective.
Right.
It's not done on an individual basis.
Right.
And so, we're looking at the enhancements of some of our parks in the city. And I'm not going to say a lot of the things that are going on in the city currently is amiss.
Right.
Right? Because it's long overdue.
Right.
I know for sure the Charlton Pilot Park hadn't received upgrade play area or play space since 2003 is when it was incepted.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Carroll Street Park, where we used to jump off every Sunday, it was outdated, but we was comfortable with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we have a different generation now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we know to ride it until the wheels fall off, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm still trying to stick the wheel on there to pass it down to my kid, that's a disservice.
Yeah.
That's a disservice.
Yeah.
And you can't present the same thing that was good for you to the youth of today because they're not going for that.
Right.
Jobs.
That's true.
And attracting more jobs or more careers.
Yeah.
Diverse careers to the city of Beaumont is a must.
Yeah.
Right.
And that has to happen on the tone with the city leading the way. Like implementing, solar panel on city offices, implementing a desalination plant that, takes salt out of the water so you could be able to put it in a process and drink it. We're looking at, in the state of Texas, we're looking at drought conditions happen even down south.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because we have saltwater intrusion from the Gulf of Mexico going up freshwater rivers. Yes, indeed. The rising tide of the seas.
Wow. That's amazing. That's good information.
The rising tide of the seas.
That's good information.
Yeah, and that water, once that water makes its way, for Beaumont in particular, makes its way up the Nature's River, where we get our water from, we will not be able to put that into our system, purify it or whatever, because we do not have that infrastructure in place, right? Wow. And so, like, the city of Beaumont, just like the rest of Texas, is poised for, being late when it comes to
technology and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I believe, as well as many residents in the city of Beaumont believe, that that's the only way we'll be able to attract and maintain people in our city, is by offering these competitive careers. Like, I can see that. Similar to what Austin has, similar to what Houston has, similar to what Dallas have. And they're, pushing people out of the community or out of communities and removing them from potential investors into city growth for a river walk.
Wow.
Yeah, and I remember they was talking about that in the city council. So, look like we're gonna end up going into a part 2.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So, and pick up where we left off.
We're gonna continue to pick up with the underserved community. If you will, brother, let us know where the people in Beaumont can follow you and get more information.
Absolutely. Like so,
which camera you need to?
My, as you all know, my information is public. There is no secret when you run for public office. I do want to point that out too. So you can reach me directly. My phone number is 409-499-9031. I have access to a Facebook page. That's Unc Jones or Christopher Unc Jones for mayor. Most of everything that you can follow me on is Unc Jones, UNCJONES. 2025 on TikTok. I think that's it. Unless we create a YouTube page where we, continue to have these types of engagement.
Absolutely. Well, thank everybody for listening.
Yes, indeed.
Into The Disconnect. We are the podcast that heals and builds.
Peace.
I have learned to piece together pieces that you broke. I can see through all of the deceitful things you wrote. I have managed cracking all the secrets to the codes. You swerved into my lane like you were sleeping on the road. Said we weren't indigenous and brought us here as slaves. Wrote yourself in her story and tore us out the page. Trying to cover up that you're the one that's out of place. Then wonder why my people wildin' out and in the rage. Bitch, you lied, we've been certified. My ancestors own this shit, I know that hurt your pride. I'm witnessing truth and lies unfold before my eyes. Present in the flesh, oh what a time to be alive.